Oh, good morning, Yankees universe. Welcome back to another episode of the Yankees Morning Brew on this Wednesday, August 2nd. Like always, I'm your guy Hector, joined by my co-host, Mr. TC Stales. Check out the intro, and we will be right back.
Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger. I'm a threat. I'm a gamble with your life, cause you know that it's a bet. It's a bet. You know I ain't letting up, my foot is on your neck. Take my word for it, it's a promise and a threat. Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger. I'm a threat. I'm a gamble with your life, cause you know that it's a bet. It's a bet. You know I ain't letting up, my foot is on your neck. Take my word for it, it's a promise and a threat.
Oh, yes, indeed. Good morning, Yankees universe. Like I said, I'm your guy Hector, host of the Yankees Morning Brew, always joined by my co-host, Mr. TC Stales. All you Yankee fans out there, wake up and get your coffee. TC, how you feeling, big fella?
I'm good, but I don't know about all these other fans out here with the trade deadline debacle. But I'm good. Hey, I'm always good on this show, man. I love being here. So, hey, yeah, it's always a good day.
Listen, shout out to our community. Shout out to our brother Pete Simonetti, who did a 24-hour stream yesterday covering the trade deadline, and also he was doing the stream for charity. He was able to raise over $14,000. Shout out to our brother, Mr. Pete Simonetti, over there on nyynewstv.
Yes, sir.
I see we got 25 people in the building. If you guys can, please smack that like button for your boys. We got a special guest who is coming and will be joining us momentarily. Chris McMonigle, CMAC from WFAN. You guys know I'm a big fan of WFAN, especially the guys CMAC, Keith McPherson, JR Sports Beat. Big fan of those fellas over there. But Jacob Petruzzi is in the building. Jacob, how you doing, my guy? My guy Adam is in the building. Salute, Adam. Hope all is well.
Adam.
Big time Jerry's in the building. Salute. Three
Big
capital
time.
S's to the dome. My guy Unpopular Opinion is in the building. Jonathan is in the building. Shane McNeil is in the building.
How you doing?
My guy David Cohn is in the building. Lorenzo Cardona is in the building. CW.
Oh, Lorenzo!
We appreciate all of you guys for tuning into the show on this beautiful morning post-trade deadline. But let's get into it, right?
Don't forget Vikings. Don't forget Vikings.
Chris, I see you back there. Just get a thumbs up. Let me know that you're ready to rock. Yep, there's a thumb right there. Without further ado, Chris McMonigle, CMAC, good morning. What's up, bro?
What's going on, fellas? How we doing?
Chris.
Good. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I'm good. Listen, thank you so much for taking time out this morning.
Yes,
I know you do an overnight show. You're on from like midnight to 5 in the morning. So I appreciate you taking time out this morning. I was listening to you last night. But CMAC, we always like to ask our guests how they got into doing what they're doing right now. So the floor is yours. Let the people in the chat know who aren't familiar with you, how you got into this game. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, went to school, finished high school, went to college, wasn't sure what I was going to do with myself, and said, let's go to, I love Mike and the Mad Dog, and I love WFN. I'm passionate about sports.
Yeah.
So let's go to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which is where I went, which is like a 16-week program. I thought it was better than, going to college and partying too much. So I decided to do that. And really just that's how it worked out. So I got that. I programmed there. I won a bunch of sports radio awards there. There was some connection, some networking through the program there. I actually met Mark Malusis in Las Vegas that week, that like literally the weekend after I got the graduation ceremony at Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Me and my buddies went to Vegas, and I see Mark Malusis on the rooftop of some club, and we end up chatting it up, and he helps me with an internship, which was in December of I started my internship in January of 2007, and I've just been at the fan ever since, just plugging away. But my love for sports run deep. My father got me into it when I was very young. I've been a Yankee fan as long as I can remember. Been a Giant fan as long as I can remember. I still have visions of my father screaming, "Play action pass, run the play action pass," before I knew what the hell that was. So I got into it just unsure what to do with my life and taking a chance on a passion of mine. So I've been a fan ever since. So
that's crazy. First of all, I never would have thought that you would have said you saw Mark Malusis at a club in Las Vegas. I had no idea my man was a club hopper like that. But
I think it was like Pure at the MGM Grand. It was like a rooftop place, and I was a huge fan of Mike and the Mad Dog, and I noticed him from television because they did the show. So I was like, I saw him and my buddies. I had just graduated. It's what I'm trying to do. And it's like, why don't you go say hi to Mark? And I'm like, what am I going to do? Bother Mark Malusis on his trip to Vegas? I'm not going to do that. 4 or 5 drinks in, where is Mark Malusis? I gotta find him and tell him I'm the next star at WFAN. So I ended up bumping into him and a couple of. I think Greg Giannotti, the morning show host, was on that trip with them. Sal Licata, the new who I've replaced in the overnights and is now with BT in midday. He was on that trip, so it was just a fortunate weekend to run into those guys as they were heading out to Vegas. So it was an amazing experience. And then obviously, so it's been a long time. I worked with Steve Summers. I worked with Mike Francesa. I've worked with just countless people, Craig Carton, Evan Roberts recently before getting this job. So it's been a long road to get my own show, and I'm thankful to be there.
Nah, you've been putting in the work, Chris, and I just got to give you your flowers. You bring up Steve Summers. I used to work as an EMT, right, in the South Bronx. I worked overnight, and that's who I used to listen to overnight. Steve Summers, and that's how I got introduced to you as well. And also, it was I want to say a month or two ago, when the New York Knicks, when they were in the postseason, it was the first round back in the Garden when all that hoopla was going on. Me and my producer, who's backstage, Jiggerman Porter, we got invited to the station because of Tiki Barber. He's close friends with us through the FCF Knights of Dejan and stuff. So that's how we know him. We were walking through the corridor and we passed you. Right, you were walking, I believe, to the bathroom or whatever. Anthony was walking us back there with Tiki and Tierney and stuff. So when I knew who you were, right? So when we went around the corner, I told my producer, I was like, "Oh, that's CMAC right there. I know that's CMAC from Craig Carton," because we were literally right there. Craig was outside. I was like a little kid in the candy shop because WFAN has been a big part of my life. Like you brought up Mike and the Mad Dog. I grew up listening to Mike and the Mad Dog. My uncle was a retired NYPD detective. We used to go back and forth upstate and used to listen to him every day in the summertime, right? Yeah. So just wanted to throw that out there. But the trade deadline that came and went. Yankee fans obviously mixed emotion bags when it comes to Yankee fans. But Chris, you're one of the guys that you don't want to wave the flag on the season, which I get. I understand that. To the fans that are in the chat, how do you feel after the trade deadline? You had a few hours to process everything. What's going through your mind, Chris?
No, I'm pissed off. I don't know. I don't know how nothing was done. I never wanted to sell. I didn't see enough value in it, to be totally honest with you. If something happened where Gleyber Torres got some kind of package that blew them away, which is what they kind of went with, like they were going to maybe sell some pieces if they were blown away. I'm kind of okay with that aspect. I'm not one of the guys who can't believe they didn't do one or the other. For me, it was buy and help this team or stand pat and see what happens, because I didn't see enough value with trading, some of the bullpen arms. Like for me, baseball's precious. The season's precious. And the New York Yankees, as dysfunctional as they are at the moment, as frustrated we may be with Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, and the ownership group, when they're 3 games back with 55, 56 to play, I'm sorry. I never punt on a season in that. I just don't. These seasons are too precious to me. Anything can happen. We've seen it. It's as unlikely as it may be, as unlikely as I think it is going to happen, the way they're playing right now. I don't punt on when it's 3 games and there's 55 to play. I just personally don't do it. So I was looking to help add to this team. And I mean, and whatever we think about Brian Cashman, he does it every year, good, bad, or indifferent. Trades that don't work, trades that fail, trading for pitchers who are hurt, taking chances. Like we've seen him good, bad, or ugly, indifferent, and sometimes it's really been bad. Recently, the last couple of years, the trade deadline has been a rough go for Brian Cashman, but he always at least does it. They go out there and they attempt to improve the team. So the idea yesterday that we've been waiting and they're waiting to see what happens in Baltimore, and you're trying to figure out what this team is, and which I thought was ridiculous to me. Like to me, even though it's Kansas City, I didn't think they cured all their ills with beating the Kansas City Royals 3 times, but I thought they turned a 4-game deficit to a 2-game deficit with a week to the deadline, and that was enough for me to go buy. That it wasn't like, oh, Rizzo's 4 for 4. That's it. Rizzo's struggles are over. Here we go. It was they've done enough with that series to stop the bleeding and get close enough to now go chase. And the idea they didn't do it then, they allowed the Cubs to play their way out of Bellinger being on the deadline. I think a couple things happened where the Cubs and then the Angels not only went from unsure what to do to buyers and adding Randall Grichuk, and like it changed the dynamic, and he didn't see that coming. And the only way to feel about it, I don't know how else to feel about it, is Brian Cashman completely from the beginning of the offseason, where he decided to treat this deadline like a second offseason, right? I mean, he didn't like the deals he could get in left field. He didn't like how he could improve this. You know, he was not going to make a deal he's uncomfortable with. And you know what? We'll try. We have all summer long. We'll attack it at the deadline. Well, you can't treat that like a second offseason and then just not do anything come the deadline. It makes absolutely no sense. Even if it's, why couldn't they go get Tommy Pham? Why couldn't they anybody? Like even if Tommy Pham doesn't make me think, oh well, that's the answer. It's something. You got to do something different in the room. You have to bring in somebody to try and help and change. Tommy Pham's having a nice little season. He can get hot. I mean, it's not. It's more likely than IKF getting hot in left field. It's more likely than some of the options they have right now. So I'm not disappointed they didn't sell. I'm not one of those. I'm not. Oh, it should have been one or the other. I think this was the second best thing to do besides buying. But I just can't. I can't imagine how they could do nothing to help improve this team. I mean, you're letting, Candelario go. You're letting all these different options that are just at least a change and somebody who might bring in something. And instead, they just decided to sit there with this awful team and the way they played offensively and give them no sense of here's something different. Give them no sense of, all right, we believe in you. Here's a couple of guys. Let's do something here. So yeah, I'm extremely frustrated at the end of the deadline. Extremely. I was at some event with my kids and they were getting on and off fire trucks and helicopters.
Yeah, I was
and I'm checking my phone and my wife's looking at me like, can you have 5 minutes just with your kids? And I'm like, yeah but it's the deadline and Cashman's going to do something, right? He's got to do something.
Yeah.
And just all day long,
we're all waiting
and nothing.
Yeah,
so I'm extremely frustrated.
No, I was there with you. Me and my girl, we went to Ride Playland yesterday. We was on the boardwalk. I was doing the same thing, Chris. I was checking my phone every 5 seconds and something happened, and nothing, right? And, I want to go back to last trade deadline, right? And this is where my frustrations lie when it comes to Cashman. I'll throw it over to you and then TC afterwards. But when we acquired Andrew Benintendi, Cashman came out and he said, we acquired Benintendi because we needed to get more athletic. We was a bit stale. We was a bit young. So what frustrates me, CMAC, is that during the offseason, you let Andrew Benintendi go, which signals to me that you were willing to get less athletic by not addressing the left field situation, right? Coming into the season with a Cabrera and a Hicks, when we all could see from the numbers that the time has fly when it comes to both those guys. Cabrera, who is an infielder that you signed as an international free agent, you converted him into an outfielder. IKF, the same thing. It's like, when are you going to kick yourself in the rear end and say, what we're doing right now is not working and we just got to switch it up just a little bit? Just a little bit. If you don't want to give the young kids a chance, then go out there and sign a Cody Bellinger. If you're being held back because of the contracts or because of the payroll, you got to face reality. You're the reason the payroll is what the payroll is right now. We got $85 million of dead weight when it comes to Rizzo, Stanton, LeMahieu, and Josh Donaldson. All four of those guys were supposed to be our middle of the lineup hitters that were supposed to protect Aaron Judge. And all four of those guys, CMAC, are collectively having the worst season of their careers.
Right. Which on some aspect I feel hard to see coming. Like that's the one thing. Like I don't know. I agree they need to get more athletic, but I think all of us were somewhat pleased at least. I mean, it's not Freeman, it's not Olsen, but Rizzo's a winning player and he hit 30 plus home runs last year. And he's, one of the leaders on the team. I didn't expect that to be the anchor that holds them down. Like I didn't see that coming. And I knew DJ, LeMahieu's toe was bothering him, but he was supposed to be healthy. And as long as he can stand and swing a bat, I figured he's a 280 hitter at the bare minimum.
Yes.
So, I mean, I didn't see any of that coming. Donaldson, you could see coming, no doubt. I thought he would have a bounce back year. I was public saying that, but I mean, I didn't know it. And I don't think you could just go into the season, counting on it necessarily. But I mean, what you're seeing from I agree with you. Cashman will not, what we're seeing now is Cashman is no longer, maybe at different times in his career, he was willing to do so. Right now, he will not make a move he's uncomfortable with if he feels there's a need to fill. It's not just, hey, we have a need. I got to fill it. I don't love this deal, but I got to go do it. He won't do that. That's he is not going to put himself in a situation, and like $17 million for Cody Bellinger, who, was an MVP but couldn't hang on. It's like 17 million. We're this far over the luxury cap. You know, I got Steinbrenner probably telling me I don't know if that's something we want to do. And for Cody Bellinger, does that make sense, or do I want to just play with Hickson and see what happens at the deadline? And then maybe I'll get Cody Bellinger for a third of the price for down the stretch of the season. Like that was his thought process, and it was extremely faulty. And it's absolutely killed him. Yeah.
If I can real quick, I just want to acknowledge the chat. We got 58 people in the building. If you guys can, please smack that like button. DJ Stills, who says, give the thumbs up on these guys. Absolutely, DJ Stills. If you guys have any questions for Chris while we have him right now, let us know in the chat. Put it in the chat. That way Chris can ask the question directly. But I'm going to bring up someone to join us in the conversation. He's a little bit late, but this is a friend of mine, Julian. He's from Dugout Station. He covers the Yankees Somerset farm system. So I just want to bring him up because, Chris, I want to get your take when it comes to the Yankees prospects, right? The only way I can see this season getting a 180 turnaround if the Yankees call up Everson Pereira and he has a 2016 Gary Sanchez type of second half of the season. I don't believe it. I don't see it. But Chris, when it comes to these prospects, how do you sit? Do you feel like Brian Cashman is doing the right thing when it comes to holding onto these prospects and hopefully someone hits it out the park and becomes a superstar?
Yeah, I mean, what's up, Julian? How are you?
Julian?
Hey, how's it going, Chris? Sorry
good.
I'm late, but looking forward to this discussion. I was at the game yesterday, absolute nightmare. I like the Pereira topic, so I want to see what he has to say about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a catch-22, right? We want to hold on to prospects at the same time you're willing to make moves. You got to see how these guys play out. I haven't seen a move that I definitely like. The cast, like, there's a handful of moves they could have sold the prospects for, and like the Juan Soto would be a move. Yeah, last year he was traded. If they wanted to go do that, you know, the difference between Castillo and Montas is obviously enormous. But also, from what you've heard, there's a lot of people who think that there was nothing they could have done. That the package that Seattle gave them was better than anything the Yankees could have done anyway, or they like that the shortstop prospect better than any Yankee prospect. So the real question is, for me, when you ask me that question about the prospects, it's really one big question. Should they have attacked the shortstop market as all those guys came out over the last 2 years? Should they have done something? Should they have gotten a Seager? Should they have gotten a player like that? Now, there are some of the guys like Story and Correa, which it would have been a disaster, it seems like, if they would have done that. But should they have done that and worried about figuring out Volpe and Peraza later, or maybe moving them? Or was this the right thing and waiting for those two prospects to come up? I think most people understand that you want to build through the farm system at some point. And if you never trust a prospect, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, do you want to go back to the old days where no one had a chance and everyone was traded? And, you know, if George Steinbrenner wasn't sent away for a couple of years, Jeter would have been traded, Bernie Williams would have been traded, Mariano Rivera would have been traded. Now, I know that's the core of the greatest team ever, or whatever, in our opinion. So that's the extreme. But at the same time, like, at some point, I mean, the Yankees showed it with the baby bombers, and they hit initially and then failed, which I think is the biggest problem. They are where they are, is they played that scenario out too long because they showed promise when they first came up. But like, I want to build through it. I'd rather have Volpe be the answer than Seager. But when they're wrong on it, and he's hitting 200 his rookie season, and none of us have, you know, a taste for that, and nobody likes the rookie shortstop looking the way he's looking over this season, then it's a tough thing. But ultimately, no, I don't mind what they've done. I haven't seen a deal that's come across the plate where I'm like, geez, how could you not do that? Most of it's free agent stuff, right? Most of it's like, why not Manny Machado? Why not at least take a conversation on Bryce Harper? Why not do some of that stuff? Why not go get Freddie Freeman and spend a little bit more money to get the better player at first base? I understand they hold on to some of the prospects, but nothing for me jumps out at me. Maybe Julian could give me better examples, but there hasn't been a deal that I was just like, man, how do you not? Who cares what this guy could be? Like there's Juan Soto. That's about it. And I'm not even sure if that was possible. Like, so I think I want to build through the farm system. I think it makes, not only just does it make it better, you know, for less money for the owner to spend, I think you're a better team that way. I think the fan base loves it. You get these guys like I wish Greg Bird was Greg Bird, man. I wish, like, that's a huge, I mean, we talk about the lefty, you know, the lefty hitters, not enough lefty hitters. They tried to bring up a big time power hitting lefty hitter that they thought was going to be the best hitter in the organization, and he failed. Like, I wish Clint Frazier showed the bat speed heroics that we heard before he came here. Like, I wish those things happened. And Duhar, who should have been Rookie of the Year, his season led the Yankees in extra base hits that year, and then he gets
double machine.
Is never the same. And then Gio Urshela gets paid. You know, they spent $25,000 to get Gio Urshela, and he's better. So like, it's a tough thing where. I agree that there's some thought that maybe they could do more with the prospects and get bigger players in here, but at the same time, I like the idea of building through youth. I think the Yankees get kind of in the moniker of they'll never do it. Oh, they'll never call up the big prospect. They'll never do it, when they just tried it a couple years ago and it blew up in their face. Like, so, but I still think that's the way to go. So I'd rather see it. I'm not too hung up on the hugging of prospects.
Yeah, and you bring up George, and I'll throw it over to Julian right after. I just wanted to say this, but a lot of fans they miss out the point that in the 80s, George Steinbrenner, he traded Willie McGee and he traded Fred McGriff. Two guys that if the Yankees had in the 80s, Don Mattingly probably would have saw the postseason at least once. Go ahead, Julian. Oh, you're muted, Julian.
No, mute, buddy.
No, you're still muted, Julian. You got to unmute yourself. While he figures that out 1 second. Yeah, Julian, you're having a mic issue. You got to
there
you go.
I'm unplugged, so there's no mic, unfortunately, but I need to be able to speak. So we're going to have to work through that, I guess. So one thing I thought was interesting, you brought up the failures of the past. Gary Sanchez is also a big failure, too, and that's why we have no offensive catching, because the Yankees are petrified of offensive catchers now because Gary Sanchez's defense is so bad. And that's a big hole, too, in the lineup that's being ignored. Everyone's like, oh, it's just defense. They don't need to hit well, but that's nonsense because they need everyone to hit well. Like, the catcher doesn't get a pass because they're just catching. Like, that's been a big problem too. Josh Donaldson was so predictable. I think Rizzo's the biggest surprise. Sand always gets banged up. I wasn't sold on DJ. The prospect mismanagement, I think Peraza is the one that glares out to me. I think he should be playing third base. Like, they have a big issue at third base. Like, you might as well see what you have with him instead of all the juggling with him. I'm all for Pereira, as you guys know. I think he should give a shot in left field pretty soon because he'll be better. He could be better in the cast of characters we're throwing out there now. Other than that, like, they're kind of stuck with what they could do this year. And in terms of the trades, like, for guys we missed on, I agree with CMAC about free agency. I think those are the bigger whiffs. Like, not signing a left fielder free agency. Like, you had to sign a left fielder. And the fact that the budget was backed up is also Cashman's fault for making a lot of terrible deals, like we mentioned. So 290 should be enough to win, but they shouldn't have just ignored the left field spot. They should have figured it out somehow. That was the biggest thing. Third base, you were stuck because Donaldson was making a lot of money and you had DJ. You couldn't really do anything. So left was the big hole you had to fill, and they just didn't do it.
And also, too, and I'll throw it over to CMAC to get his thoughts on this. You've seen a lot of fans comparing this trade deadline and what the Yankees did in 2016. There's a big difference. In 2016, the Yankees had Chapman and Miller, who were probably two of the better relievers in baseball for a couple of seasons. And you had the Cubs, who were desperate enough to trade a top pick in order to win a World Series, right? The Mets were able to find the Texas Rangers to take Matt Scherzer for their prospect, but even that prospect that they got for Scherzer wasn't ranked as high as Gleyber Torres was ranked when the Yankees acquired them from the Chicago Cubs. And the big difference also when it comes to 2016, the 2016 Yankees, they didn't have Aaron Judge coming back from injury. They didn't have Nestor Cortez coming down the pipeline, Johnny Lasagna coming down the pipeline. I know a lot of people laugh at me when I bring this up. Frankie Montas started a throwing program a couple of weeks ago, and you never know. Frankie Montas may be in the Bronx pitching for the Yankees. I'm just saying, Julian, he's on the roster. He's getting paid, and why not throw him out there, right? And that's the big difference. Year and a half out, you got that extra wild card. You never know. Am I going to bet the house that the Yankees are going to make it to the ALCS or the World Series? No. But like C-Mac says, I'm not going to punt on the season because even if we decided to punt on the season, the Yankees aren't going to get the number one pick in the draft next year. And that's the issue. We're not picking high in the draft, right? You look at 2010, ever since 2010 to 2023, players that we draft and develop, we are last when it comes to WAR. When it comes to wins above replacement on players that we drafted, we are last, and that has to change. Go ahead, C-Mac.
Yeah, I would add one other caveat to your difference between this year and 2016. In 2016, they had Tanaka under contract, but that's it. This is the prime of Aaron Judge and Cole. Like they have the pitching, they have their pitching guy who's under an enormous contract who could opt out, excuse me, after next year, I believe. And you got Judge's prime. I know he's got the toe issue and just coming back, but everything you just add up, I don't think they get the prospects you think that they would have gotten in 16. You're right. The Cubs were desperate to break a 100-year curse. Like it's different. They're not going to get the same level of prospect. And right now, this is you just signed Judge to the $350 million 9-year contract. You got Cole for another 5 or 6 years. This is the core time to go out there and build around those two guys and try and win a championship. And it's tough to punt on one of those years. It's just it's tough for me to just give up on that year, 3 games out with 55 to play. As ugly as it may be, we've seen things change. And I agree with you. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to place a wager right now on the Yankees to get to the World Series. But if they get to a World Series and Rodon figures it out, and you've got, him, Cole, and Nestor Cortez at the top of rotation. And by the way, if they're the third wild card, they're going to play the Minnesota Twins in the postseason. Like, they're not going to play the Astros in the first round. They're not going to play the Tampa Bay Rays. They're not going to play the Texas Rangers. They are going to play the winner of the worst division that, amazingly enough, they'll probably have a better record than at that point. Like,
that's a thought.
If they win that series, then they're in the ALDS. And I'm sorry, anything could happen. I know they haven't won, they haven't hit. This group has been an underperforming postseason team in particular, and that's why this year's different to me because this is the regular season failure. I mean, Yankee fans who are upset with Brian Cashman and the Yankees, your problem can't be they don't win enough regular season games. Like, that can't be your problem. They win plenty of regular season games. The problem is they don't win in the postseason. They don't hit in the postseason. This is completely different. This is a failure top to bottom, bottom of the league in offensive output during the regular season, which has never been an issue. But again, if you get to the postseason, I'll take my chances that Judge goes off, Stanton, wakes up and does what he's pretty much done as a Yankee in the postseason. I'll take my chances. But you're 100% right. I didn't think selling was a good option because you're not going to get anything back, and I'm not punting on a season in the middle of those two guys' prime in what I think is a window you want to try and win in for being. They're not 8 games back. They're not 9 games back at the wild card. It's 3 with 55 to play. As ugly as it is, I'm not giving up on that. They're the New York Yankees. As much as they don't act like it at 30 times with different things, they're still the New York Yankees. I don't punt with a $300 million payroll with 3 games out of the wild card. I just don't do it.
Yeah, and then also when you look at who we could have traded, right? Is Gleyber Torres? Are we getting a top 5, top 10 prospect back? Maybe borderline top 10 prospect back. Maybe from someone else. But
Marco was kind of good.
Yeah, Michael King. Maybe you could probably get a top 15, but you're not going to get one of the best top prospects in the world. You're not going to get Gunnar Henderson from Baltimore. Those aren't the type of prospects that you're going to get.
Ellie De La Cruz.
You're not getting Ellie De La Cruz, but. Go ahead, Julian, and throw it over to TC because I know we got CMAC just for a few more minutes before we got to let him go. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think that I could have been convinced on selling, but I don't want to sell Gleyber Torres. Like maybe the smaller pieces, like the Harrison Baders, like the rentals, just to see if you can get something in return and try to jumpstart it, call up some kids, like they did in 2016 a little bit, and they actually made a good run in 2016. It's just that. I could be okay I'm okay when I'm selling, but I'm not okay with not buying. Like they basically just sat in the middle. Like that's the most frustrating part. I would have preferred if they did a little more of a sell than what they did, honestly. Like it just doesn't make any sense. I guess people are talking about Austin Wells' defense isn't great. I know his bat could play up here, but the defense, they probably not give him a shot this year. But they need guys that can hit. That's the bottom line. And this current lineup is not going to get it done. Like they got to switch some stuff. I just don't have the confidence that CMAC does. Like, I do believe in the pitching if they make it, but I just don't believe in the offense in the playoffs at all. And they've been bad even before this year, and this is the worst offense they've had in a while.
Yeah, seeing what's out there, there's can't argue against that. TC, throw it over to you before we got to let Chris get out of here. Go ahead, TC.
Yeah, I mean, just sit and put. That's not a option. They should. They had an option to either to buy or sell. They could have did both. They could have got something for Gleyber or for a reliever, and then brought in some young kids for next year, and also bought some positions that they needed: left field, third base, like we've been saying, and brought up some of the kids like Pereira, and bring Peraza back. Shift up this lineup a little bit because it's not working what they have right now. This lineup is so inconsistent, so terrible. it's blah, it's dead. It's you could see it. They get down 1-0, 2-0. They're already giving up the game. We need to bring some youth in here, some guys that have some fire. I know we have Volpe, but that's about it. Everyone else is either old and slow. We got Stan, we got Donaldson's hurt, he's out. Rizzo can't hit since May. I mean, these guys, DJ LeMahieu, they're all having career lows. I mean, this is it's unheard of. We've never seen this before, all at the same time. So, I mean, they could just bringing in a middle reliever, Middleton. That's their big move. How's that going to put us over the top? I understand we're 3 games out of the wild card, but that shows these players in the dugout. Hey, what are we doing? What's the direction? I mean, that's not going to put us, closer to the Blue Jays or the Astros.
Look, go to Queens and see how the players feel in Queens right now. After everything that happened, trading.
There's a direction there. Places. Their owner came out and said something. There's a direction. We're punting. We're going for next year. They brought in a ton of prospects, so there's hope. They got the money. Cashman, where is the direction? What does he come out? We're doubling down. Doubling down on what? What are you talking about?
You doubled it down that Josh Donaldson is coming back to save this team. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh my goodness.
You get out of here. Go ahead, brother.
No, I agree. Listen, I mean, the Mets seem like they're punting on more than just this year. I mean, that's the talk is that they're looking at possibly next year being a transition year, which I hate. Again, when you have that owner. I would have rather they're going to be. I don't want to get into the Mets here, but they're not in the Ohtani conversation. I thought that's what he's the richest. So they're not going to think about doing that. And if you did that, wouldn't you want to pair him with Verlander at the top of the rotation? I understand you get some prospects back, but to your point, they had a plan. When you come out of this deadline, whether I agree with it, whoever agrees with it or not, Met fans get upset by it. The owner and the GM together had a plan and they executed it. They used the weapon of money to get back better prospects. I mean, they're going to have $70 million in a rotation next year without anybody pitching. They're paying $35 million to Scherzer, $35 million to Verlander. They're not going to be there. It's $70 million in the hole before you start to put together a rotation. That's tough for me, no matter how rich the owner is, but still, whether you like it or not, vision, a plan, went out and executed it. Completely agree. The Yankees look like they were, maybe we'll buy, maybe we'll sell, maybe we'll buy, maybe we'll sell. Oh, there goes the shot clock. And I wasn't sure what the hell to do. That's what it felt like. It felt like they were dribbling the ball, trying to figure whether they should pass or shoot. The shot clock went off and it was like, oh, is it 6 o'clock already? I mean, listen, hey, we're doubling down. Let's quickly add a reliever. So we did something. It's just, it was incompetent.
Slap in the face to us.
There's no other way to put it. Even if I think that I wouldn't have sold, I'd rather stand pat. I'm probably in the minority, but it still looks like they were trying to sell, and it still looks like they had no idea what they were doing. There was no plan, no vision. It seemed like it was Bellinger's really the only guy out there who can impact the team. And once he was off the market, now I don't know what to do. Doesn't really matter. Let's just see what happens. And let's add 2 relievers so it looks like we were making phone calls. It was an absolute horrendous, embarrassing deadline. Even if it was for me the better option than selling, at least that would have shown some I'd rather be wrong than incompetent any day of the week. I'd rather be wrong than incompetent. And the Yankees showed they looked like this deadline was handled with incompetence. And then you add it on top of the night before and what they do with the rotation and Herman. Right? You pull that game into this game, and then you get Rodon getting lit up, and it's like these 3 days look like the Yankees have not only they're losing, they don't know what the hell's going on. It's just they don't know anything. It's just what are you doing? What are we doing? You can lose, that's fine. I understand that you lose games. They're going through a bad stretch. I do believe they'll be better at some point this year. I do. I still don't think it's over. I know I'm the idiot. They're going through a really rough stretch. Judges is just coming back. They're playing really good teams. They could end their season in the next 5 days, fine. But losing's one thing. Declaring a pitcher unable to pitch and then having them go out there and throw 4 shutout innings in relief when the game's already over. You follow that in with a deadline that looks like they had no idea what they were doing, and then they cap that off with an embarrassing performance from the guy they gave $160 million to for the next 5 years after this one, and he's only had 5 starts, and they're all bad. It's just these 3 days, you're like, what is going on in Yankee land, man? What is going on?
And, you know, like you said on your show, if the Yankees go out there and let Luis Severino start another game, they don't care about winning.
No, I'm sorry. I've defended the narrative that they don't care about winning. I even I'll even fight back a little bit on giving Judge the day off on that Baltimore trip. Like, you know, you're not going to play him 10 days in a row. You just know they weren't. And I don't really care whether they win that series, as opposed to all 10 games in this stretch were important to me as every other game. Like, the minute that game ended, the next game was just as important or more important. Like, if they're going to give them a day, it didn't bother me. But so the narrative, if they don't want to win, they don't care. I push back on a little bit, but you can't throw Severino again. You just can't.
No.
That you don't care. If you're going to throw Severino, I don't care what you do. Brito, Vasquez, somebody else, you know, throw a bullpen game. Start Middleton. They just traded for. I don't care. Like, you cannot throw Severino again and tell me you care about winning that game. And it's unfortunate because his whole career has been injury prone, but really good. Like, when he's on the mound, Severino's excellent. Not just like passable. Severino's an excellent starting pitcher. And but right now, you can't throw him out there, and you can't tell me you're serious if you pitch him again. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but it better not be that, because then it's really just like, well, now we don't care.
Yeah, no, definitely. CMAC, appreciate you for taking time to help us go through this trade deadline. Brian Cashman, he did his
cathartic to talk about it.
He did his best Chris Webber impersonation, thinking he had an extra timeout at the trade deadline. But CMAC, brother, again, thank you for taking time out. Appreciate you. Hopefully, we could get you towards the end of the season when we get further down the line. My guy, definitely appreciate you. Make sure you guys check out CMAC and Keith McPherson. They both took time to come on the channel to have a conversation with them. So make sure you guys go and support their podcast that they have, and make sure you call CMAC overnight over at WFAN and be nice to him, because a lot of the callers sometimes they're out of pocket. Honestly,
listen. I've said this, and you know, if you don't, there's certain people right now, Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone being one of them, you have to despise them. And if you don't despise them and think not only are they doing a bad job now, but they don't deserve their positions, they've never done a good job. And it's been a disaster from the minute they joined the organization. Unless that's your take, it seems Yankee fans are angry enough where, you know, that's not good enough. And I get it. I get it. You know, this is really, I mean, this is as low as we've seen this Yankee organization in a long time. I'll be the first to admit.
They want to see CMAC coming down the Grand Concourse with the guillotine. That's what it is, Chris. That's what it is. But brother, appreciate you like always. You have a good one, bro.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time, man. It was fun.
I appreciate you.
All right, be well. Take care.
Later. That was a great conversation with Chris McMonigle. Julian, I'm sorry that you was late, but thank you for joining up with us on the convo. What's your thoughts, real quick, and let's throw it over to TC.
I'm just like, my bad about that. I had a late night at the game and I saw your text.
All good, bro. All good, bro.
I had to absolve that. I'm trying to get the taste of that after that bullcrap performance I watched last night in the Bronx.
Even watching your post game, you talking about it, your hair was all disheveled. You was like, you didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I was having a tough time. But even the ninth inning was a bunch of crap too. Like, like a little excitement. Like, that game sucked. That was terrible. I mean, honestly, God. And we're 23rd in OPS is 703. Like, we're barely above 700. Like, that's just a joke, honestly. I'm just so disgusted with this. And like, the Brian Cashman and the GMs, I think no one wants to work with Cash. CMAC was right about that. He was trying to. Why did he have to wait till the last minute to try to do things? They said he was going to wait till Tuesday, and this is what ends up happening. And I think he panicked when Bellinger wasn't there too. I think Bellinger was going to be the cop out. I really think that's what was going to happen. I think most people believe that too. And then once we lost Cody, there was nothing else. And nothing else was good. Like, he may have tried Carlson, but the price was probably too high. Like, I think that's the only thing he maybe looked at, honestly.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm happy that Cashman didn't make the Dylan Carlson move or the Gleyber Torres move just to make it, right? Yes, we got these two lower end relievers, but he didn't have to give anything much up for those relievers, right? What I would have been upset is if we would have overpaid for Dylan Carlson, or if we would have traded Gleyber Torres back and not got back a proper return back for Gleyber Torres, right? I appreciate him sticking his heels in the sand, trying to get those two pitches from Miami and those prospects. I would have rather got the lefty, if anything, but attack the Gleyber Torres situation in the offseason. Give me a second. I just want to shout out the chat. We got 95 people in the building. My guy CWE is in the building, who says no offense help yet. It's frustrating, CWE. Retired Ward vet is in the building. Thank you for your service. I hope the Yankees don't sign Jorge for your
That's really funny.
Yo, it's hilarious. Yankee Cows in the building. Mikey Mazza with the 4 Train Express. Anthony Medina de la Isa in the building. Anthony, how you doing? Big time Jerry Cadill's in the building. Jerry Cadill, how you doing? He said this team gives me a headache and stomach problems. Jerry, make sure you take your Pepto-Bismol. We don't need
don't get an ulcer from this team.
David Elias is in the building. Salute to you, David Elias. TC, what's your thoughts on that before I bring up the next graphic so we could jump into the conversation?
Yeah, great conversation with Chris, man. That was awesome. Glad we could have him on, but I don't have the same optimism as he has. I mean, he said let's not sell, let's just buy, and this team doesn't give me that optimism to buy at all. I mean, we could see these guys. I don't know what added to this team is going to put them over the top, because you could see it. They're done, defeated. I mean, we had our chance to sell off some pieces, some expiring contracts. You got Bader, IKF, you got some of the relievers, King, Wandy, Clay Holmes, even Rizzo, get him out. But they decided not to, because I think they Cashman overestimates his value of his players. Yeah, and he wanted so much back for Gleyber. He missed out. He missed out on so many deals. The owners are just, the GMs are hanging up on Cashman. Like, nope. And he waits till the last second, and oh, hey, got a middle reliever for you guys. That's gonna appease the fans, and we'll be ready to make a run.
Hold on one second.
I don't think so.
I got to shout out my guy, AK47. No, my guy, you aren't chopped liver. I was waiting for TC to finish before I shouted you out. Shout out my guy, AK47 in the chat. Anthony Garcia as well. Hector Cruz is in the building. Hold on. Raziel or Razil the Great. Hector trying to sign up a turd and tell us that it's chocolate. Come on, fam. Cashman moves were only to save face, so he was not the only one who did not make a move. Listen. I'm not going to argue when it comes to that. I'm not trying to defend Brian Cashman whatsoever. The only thing that I didn't want to see happen was that we traded Gleyber Torres away, and we got back some prospects that are in rookie ball right now, that are 18 and 19 years old, that Julian would tell you that they won't be ready to like 2028 and 2020 and 2030. By the time that happens, I'll have more hair fall off my head, right, Julian?
Yeah, honestly, like I was thinking about something. I mean, we're in it to win it, guys. Don't worry. That was the stupidest quote of yesterday. We're in it to win it, because there's zero evidence of that. And then Cash was saying, we know they haven't played well, but we believe that we have better baseball in us, even though there's nothing to support that claim at all. He's just talking.
Where do you see that?
I don't see.
They're all going to turn it around at the end? No.
I'm more on. My fault. We got 102 people in the building. If you guys can, please smack that like button. This is the first stream back to back for Yanks Brew that we cracked 100 people watching at once. Go ahead, Julian.
I gotta say, I'm upset because I'm normally on CMAC side. I like to see the optimism, but I see zero optimism with this team at all. Like we're cooked. We might end up. We have to go against Verlander or Valdez this weekend. We got McClanahan tonight. We could end up losing all 3 of those games, and they could be done by the time this dust settles on Sunday or Monday. They're lucky the Blue Jays are keeping them in it right now, because they're only 3.5 out because they haven't been playing well. And I'm more with Keith, honestly. I was listening to Keith last night. He's throwing in the towel. I'm basically
there with him. I'm right there. Yeah, I'm right there with Keith. I understand, Julian, where CMAC is coming from, but I'm right there with Keith. That's why I said that. Even if we get to the wild card, right? What do we expect?
We can beat Minnesota, sure, but what's going to happen?
And that's it. We get embarrassed in the ALDS. Yeah. That's what happens. Hold on. We got a $5 super chat. Brazil the Great said, just found you guys. Love the stream already. Hector, I feel you, though. It's sad Cashman has set us back at least 5 years, and that's an absolute fact. When you look at our payroll construction right now, when you look at the issues when it comes to the payroll, we've had 3 seasons in a row of bad moves over and over and over again, and it falls on one person. It falls on Brian Cashman. It all falls on Brian Cashman. You guys could be upset with how Boone manages the bullpen. You'd be upset on when Boone pulls out a starter a little bit early. The reason we have the pieces we have right now is not because of Aaron Boone. It's because of Brian Cashman. The reason why IKF is playing in the outfield is because of Brian Cashman. It's not Aaron Boone's fault, right? And you brought up the quote from Brian Cashman, right? And this was another one that I want to bring up. He said,
so much.
"Let's double down and go for it." Double down what, my guy?
How did he manage to do that? He didn't double down anything. If anything, he went backwards. He negative down, if that's even a phrase. I don't even know how to say that, but you know what I mean.
You know, Brian Holtz, Chris Kreischer, he said, I asked Brian Cashman if he regretted not coming into the season with a more established left fielder. And this is what Brian Cashman said. It's been the one thing that we've tried to upgrade. Getting your hands on it, it's more challenging than expected. Said that they were constrained by a budget, so they ruled out a lot of their options.
I just don't. Why couldn't you just trade IKF and use that $6 million to get a left fielder? Why is that so hard? Was that rocket science? Like, I don't understand at all. It doesn't make any sense. Like, move someone off the roster if you need a left fielder. You have a surplus of infielders. Like, what the hell?
You look at
we have a left fielder in the minors in Florial or Pereira. Why aren't they up here?
It's time for them. I want to see them this week. Honestly, enough's enough.
Yeah, enough's enough. Enough's enough. Honestly, look at you got the wild card standings. We are literally 3.5 games out of the wild card. Right. When you look at the AL East, we are 11 games out of first place. Right.
That's over.
We can put that to bed. We ain't coming close to that division. We got to aim for the wild card. And when it comes to the wild card, the Angels, they upgraded their team. They upgraded their roster tremendously. Probably one of the best buyers at the trade deadline.
We literally kept the Angels in it too because they swept us. They were on the edge of buy or sell.
We made them buyers, yeah.
And now they're back ahead of us. That's so embarrassing.
Julie, you remember when Yankee fans showed up to the Angels game and they had big ass cutouts of Shohei Ohtani and a Yankees hat in Jersey?
Yeah,
I was there.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That was a bad sign. That was a bad omen. David
nice.
Elias with the $5 super chat who said, good to see Hector, Julian, and TC. Rotation can't win a series. Cole is our only chance for win. No upgrade at the deadline, but a ton of gaslighting. And that's the key word, the gaslighting component. Because I feel when it comes to us fans, love to sugarcoat us, right? Like CMAC said, or like TC said, Julian, at least the Mets, the ownership, they came out with a game plan. Steve Cohen, he met the team in Kansas City, and he told them, listen, you guys didn't perform. I went out there, I spent the money, you guys didn't perform. Now we had to do a correction in the middle of the season. And Julian, I don't know the last time when it comes to baseball that you saw a team make a pivot at the middle of the trade or in the middle of the season and be able to fix their roster at the same time. Do you remember the last time? Go ahead, Julian.
Honestly, no. I mean, I got to tip my hat to them a little bit. I mean, the Verlander move to the Astros is probably the worst move I've seen in the last 10 years. It's just terrible he's going to trade it back there. Like, you can't make this shit up, honestly. Like, the fact the Mets are so bad, he ends up forcing his way back to the Astros is a pathetic joke in itself. So I'm really sick to my stomach with that one. That's going to sting for a while because he's still there for, I think, is it 2 more years? He might even have an option for a third. Like, this is a nightmare. Like, we're never going to escape this guy. This is terrible. And he's going to continue to own the Yankees for a while.
I was having bad PTSD, Julian. I'm like, he's back with them, and we faced them for the first time this season.
Of course we do. Of course we do. That's just how it had to be. But I do think it's interesting that they did get a lot of good prospects. Next year is going to be a wash for them too, though. It's crazy. I've never seen such a drastic switch, like spend all this money then tear it down that quickly. No, I've never seen anything like that before. And honestly, like, I really haven't. The closest thing was like us in 2016 maybe, but that was like way different. I can't think of another time it went like that, really. I mean, the Padres could have did it, but they didn't, so.
What about you? Do you remember the last time a team did that in the middle of the season? Because I remember the Miami Marlins, but they did that in the off season, not the middle of the season.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
No, I mean, nobody comes to my mind that did what the Mets did. I mean, those are huge contracts that they just unloaded. I mean, 2016 for us, it was Andrew Miller, Beltran, and Chapman, and it wasn't close to those contracts.
McCann.
But yeah, Brian McCann. But no, I mean, at least they're coming out. The Mets, they're coming out and admitting their mistakes. Cohen, the GM, they're coming out and saying, "Hey, this is direction we're going in now." Hal and Brian Cashman, they're hiding. They don't say. I mean, the quotes will double down. What are you talking? What's the direction? The team, you see the team. Are you watching the games? That's the problem. Are you watching how these guys perform? We're watching every day, and we don't see any hope. And this is a year now. I mean, at the end of the season last year, they were 500 team, and they're barely a 500 team this first half of the season. So that's a year of being mediocre. And where is the turnaround? Where's the optimism? How do you think these guys are going to turn it all around? LeMahieu's going to turn into a 400 hitter right now. This last end of the season. Stanton's going to all of a sudden get bionic legs and become a Superman in the outfield. I just don't know what direction they're going. Cashman has no direction at all, and it's time for Hal to reassign him. But that's our view. Hal thinks everything's okay. Back in early June? I'm kind of confused why they're all upset. Are your eyes open now to why we're all upset? I mean, come on.
Check that.
Come on now. Enough's enough.
Facts. Julian, what's your thoughts on that? Because I want to bring this graphic up real quick, comparing the two owners when it comes to Hal and when it comes to Steve Cohen. Who should be more concerned when it comes to a fan base, right? My guy on Twitter, Evil Empire, who said, since House, check this out, Julian, and I'm going to throw it to you. He said, since Hal Steinbrenner was quoted saying, we're not done yet during the offseason, the Yankees have required Willie Calhoun, Billy McKinney, Cole Calhoun, Nick Ramirez, Frenchie Cordero, Greg Allen, Spencer Howard, and Kenyon Middleton. Since Hal Steinbrenner said, we're not done, those have been the players that the Yankees have acquired. What's your thoughts, Julian?
If you can see the reaction I had to my head, that might give it away a little bit. It's honestly disgusting and embarrassing. Like, that's obviously a budget issue. Like, I guess Cashman is right with that because, like, those guys are all, like, league minimum players for the most part. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're already over the tax tier, so why not go over it more? Like, if you were going to do that, like, I just don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. Like, how is this acceptable? Like, we're the Yankees. We're not the freaking triple. We're not the Rail Riders. Like, these are Rail Riders players right here, honestly. He didn't even put Jake Bowers is already with us. That's why. And Bowers is probably the best one out of all these names, honestly.
True. Bowers have been the best player.
I'm not gonna knock Bowers, but the rest of this is just like a laundry list of 4A players for the most part. Nick Ramirez has been good, so I'll give him a pass too. But like, it's just like, and Middleton's like a middle of the road reliever. He's a 4 ERA. He has like 1 strikeout per inning. Like, he's not great. He's not terrible. He's like in the slot of the 7th or 8th reliever in their bullpen. Like, he might get a WAR of 1 while he's with us. I'm probably not even that high, honestly. Like, that would be better than expected, honestly. Like, it's just a joke. I mean, I don't understand what Hal's thinking at all with Cashman. Like, it's not acceptable at all. Aaron Boone is just attached. Like, he's just like the unfortunate scapegoat. He's going to be the next scapegoat, as Dylan Lawson was. Boone's next up in line if anything happens, I think. But Cashman's really the culprit here, and it's he's just going to keep spinning us to mediocrity. The GMs don't want to do trades with him anymore, and if he does, he ends up getting injured guys that can't stay healthy and giving up good prospects for him that are playing well elsewhere. It's just like, it's a train wreck, and it's an embarrassment. That's what I got.
Yeah, it's what it is, and I'm not sure if Hal Steinbrenner is going to be willing to eat money like Steve Cohen ate money.
That's the issue.
And that's the issue. That's what's going to determine if the Yankees can fix what's going on with this team right now. Because after this season, and Yankee fans, don't beat me up for saying this, but Anthony Rizzo right now, he's putting up numbers in comparison to Joey Gallo. I know everyone's in love with Anthony Rizzo, El Calzone. I love to call him the Calzone one, right?
Might be worse.
we got to look at what Anthony Rizzo has been doing right now, and we have to be able to call it out. If we were criticizing Joey Gallo, if we were criticizing Aaron Hicks, if we were criticizing IKF, there should be no reason no Yankee fan is criticizing Anthony Rizzo. The first month of the season was amazing, fantastic. First month and a half, 2 months of the season. As soon as it's turned to June, it's been a total nosedive for Anthony Rizzo. TC, what's your thoughts? And then throw it over to Julian afterwards.
Yeah, I mean that list. If you want to bring up that list again, that just looking at those names reminded me of watching the movie Major League. When you saw everybody looking in the newspapers, like, who are these guys? Who's this guy was in the Mexican League, or this guy. I mean, I wouldn't even build my single A team with these players. I mean, that's how bad these guys are. They wouldn't even make anybody's roster right now. And we're supposed to accept these guys as, oh, these are our new, some of these guys were batting cleanup. I mean, are you kidding me? But with the whole Rizzo situation, I mean, the fans should be on him just like they were on Gallo and Aaron Hicks. But Rizzo, I mean, he's got the roots, the year that he had last year, and the Rizzo, Italian, and everybody's rooting for him. He plays great defense. Yeah, he does. So I mean, he saves a lot of runs that way. But as far as I mean, he got hurt somehow with that Tatis in San Diego. Something jolted his neck or back, or something's not right. He should get that checked out and actually sit the rest of the season out, because I know at this point he's done, and it's just sad. It is. It's sad.
If I can, real quick, I just want to bring up a $5 super chat, and I'll throw it over to Julian. Rizzo the Great. Guys, you remember when Boone admitted he was being bullied by an up? This is the leader of the squad. Right. Really, 2023 Yankees equals soft. Listen, Rizzo, I think you can catch Aaron Boone at karaoke night around 14th Street in New York City, where he'll be singing his Taylor Swift songs. You could probably press him and get some lunch money out of him.
But go ahead, Julian. Umbrella song.
Okay. Maybe that. But also, shout out to Truth Always, who was in the chat. Truth Always, what it do? Go ahead, Julian.
Truth. Okay, I'm ready about Rizzo. This slide. So Rizzo is an absolute embarrassment, honestly, if we're going to be real here. I found the numbers with Joey Gallo the last 50 games. His kid, Yankees World Addison, puts out some good stuff. He put it up on Twitter. I knew it was somewhere. So the last 50 games for Rizzo, he's hitting 188, 278 on base, 242 slug, which is a 520 OPS, one bomb and a 49 WRC, -8 F4. Joey Gallo's worst man, 555, 545 OPS, 5 bombs, 62 WRC plus, -3 F4.3. So even Gallo was better at his worst, like you said. Wow. Honestly. And that's the numbers right there.
It sucks to even say those words out your mouth, Julian, right? Because Anthony Rizzo, us fans, we love him. And I think it was, and Keith McPherson brought it up last night, after the Anthony Rizzo Mandalorian, that bobblehead that he had.
Yeah, I was at that one.
You was at that game? Yeah. It was like after that game, he just lost it, bro. He just lost his funk in the middle of the season. Uncle Tat says, me and Hector would grow hair on our heads before the Yankees win a World Series. Listen, Tats, as much as I want my hair on my head back, I would rather see the Yankees win a World Series before.
Hey, also shout out to Tats. He shaved his mustache for the cause yesterday. He did.
Yes, shout out to Grandpa Uncle Tats for that one. And again, if you guys haven't checked the stream from yesterday, make sure you guys go to nyynewstv. Check out our friend, good friend of the channel, good brother Pete Seminetti. He did an amazing job yesterday.
Yes, sir.
But guys, we got another game tonight. Hopefully we don't get swept. We got the Houston Astros coming into town. Hopefully we don't get embarrassed by them, but it's a bad stretch right now. I don't think there's that much optimism or any light at the end of the tunnel. Go ahead, Julian and TC, before we get ready to get out of here.
I'll say two things quickly. The only reason I have any hope tonight is because of Garrett Cole. That's the only reason I have any ounce of hope tonight. And maybe they can scrape together 2 or 3 runs and win a low-scoring, ugly game. Maybe. I wouldn't count on it, though. And then second thing I'll say is, here's a crazy thought. Why not just play Jake Bauers at first base, a position he can actually play, and sit Rizzo down and let Bowers really
see what you got.
Give Bowers a good run. I mean, he's hitting the ball well. One of the few guys. He has like the second highest OPS now, I think. I don't know if that's qualified, but it's the second highest of like anyone that's been on the team this year, I believe, behind Judge. So he deserves an extensive look in the end. Let's see if we can get something out of Jake Bowers. Let him play every day. Screw it. Even let him hit against lefties at this point. I don't care if it's a lefty. I mean, Bader pinch hit for him yesterday. Why? Like, I don't understand that move either, honestly. That just doesn't make any sense. Or even give Chappie a shot at first base. Let's see what Chaparro can do. We know he can swing the bat. Can't be worse than what we're seeing now.
Exactly. And that's what people have been putting in the chat, Julian. It can't get worse than what we are seeing right now. So. The excuse of, we don't want Estevan Florial coming up because his strikeout rate is that we struck out over 30 times in 2 days.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that one anymore either.
I think that excuse has sailed its course. That's not an excuse anymore. Yeah, shout out to our friend Gio, unpopular opinion in the building. If you guys can, make sure you guys go and follow Julian and Sandy over on Dugout Station. Help them grow their channel. That's one thing that we're doing over here as well. Make sure you guys go follow Unpopular Sports and Gaming. Help our friend Gio grow his channel as well. And of course, the other content creators that are family over here. Uncle Tats and the Pinstripe Chronicles, Mikey Maz and the 4 Train Express. You guys already know the big times. Pete Seminetti, Jason from 161 River Ave, Derek from NYY Recaps, our friend Joe Caputo from The Shift. Make sure you watch out. We got a big announcement that we're going to lay out there when it comes to Joe from
Locked On Yankees. Locked On Yankees. Don't forget
Locked On Yankees. I was just about to say, make sure you guys go follow Stacy over there on Locked On Yankees. They do an amazing job. Great guest, great conversation. But TC, what's your expectation tonight? Because like Julian said, Garrett Cole's pitching for us, right? You know, last time Garrett Cole went out there, 7 shutout innings against the Baltimore Orioles, over 100 pitches. Even when Garrett Cole pitches the way he pitches, we can't score any runs. But what's your expectations tonight for this game?
Well, the expectations, I'll take that from Rocky 3, Clubber Lang. Pain. That's what we're going to go through, some pain. The optimism of Cole, he's got to throw a perfect game pretty much. I mean, can we hit a solo home run and win 1-0? Because that's about all we can do. No, there's no offense at all. Nobody can score. Nobody's driving any runs in. It's just a fluky home run. Somebody hit a bad pitch. It's terrible. It's terrible to see up and down the lineup. I mean, honestly, you turn on the game. Did the Yankees bat? Yeah, you missed it. 3 seconds, they're gone. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It's like, honestly, this it's unbelievable how quick their innings are. They don't see pitches. They don't make. I don't care what Aaron Boone says. They don't make the pitchers work. I'm sorry. They make them work for strikeouts. Yeah, that's what they do.
That's what they do.
I mean, honestly, there's no reason to keep putting Rizzo out there. No reason to not have a Florial or a Pereira on this team. I don't know what they're doing. So it doesn't give us any hope. I don't have any optimism. I don't even want to watch the game. Honestly, I just rather listen to Pete and be doing other stuff and say, oh, really? Oh, they're already down 4-0. Oh yeah. Okay. Just keep doing what I'm doing. It's like, that's all you get every single game. What's
frustrating the most, TC, and I'll throw it over to Julian to get his take on this before we get ready to wrap it up, is that the incompetence that you're seeing at the major league level when it comes to the front office and the roster, it's starting to trickle down to the minor league system, right? Yeah. And that's where it starts to get
philosophy
just a little bit scary, as Celso is backstage messing with the buttons like he loves to do. He knows I hate when you messing with buttons. But no, he's dying laughing back there. But no, when you look at the fact that Spencer Jones hasn't been called up yet, or they haven't gotten him ready for AA, when he's killing it so far. And Hudson, look at in the month of July, he hit I think 350 in the month of July. Julian, what's your thoughts on that before we get ready to close out? Go ahead, bro.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me in here.
Of course, brother. You know you got an open door policy. Anytime you wake up in the morning, you want to join me and TC, shoot me a text and you got the link, bro.
And we'll be back with the pipe next week. We're not in it this week, so everyone knows we're taking an off week. So we'll return next week.
Good. Take a vacation.
And for yeah, we can use one as the Yankees have been on vacation this whole season.
Yeah, all season.
I think and you look at Spencer Jones and all these guys are getting moved up. I mean, I don't understand. We're in August now. The time's shrinking. If Jones doesn't get to Double-A, it's a failure this year. And also, why is Drew Thorpe still at Double-A? We say this every single Single-A. Why is Drew Thorpe still at Single-A? Like, what the hell else does he have to do to get to Double-A? Like, I don't understand these timelines at all. I think Dominguez is perfectly fine right now. He has to do more still. I would say that, yeah, it's funny.
That's what we need, right? That's what we need, retired war vet. We need Judge at every position and every spot in the batting line.
Clone Judge, yes, clone Judge. That should be the shirt.
Maybe you could bump up Trey Sweeney to AAA if you keep Peraza in the majors. I mean, Trey could possibly be in line for a bump. And then, Pereira and Florial, I agree 100%. And then Chaparro's on the verge. And then you have Tyler Hardman, who's hitting a bunch of home runs in Double-A.
That's another one.
He's still stuck in Double-A. He almost has 30 home runs. What more does he really have to do? I don't know. So they're just taking it slow. I'm happy for Edgar Barclay getting up to AAA. That was a big one. I think he may – I don't know if he'll make the team this year, but he's looking pretty good. And then maybe Danny Watson gets a bump to AAA soon. That'll be fun. So until we can look at with that.
No, Julian, I'm right there with you. And I think, when it comes to the season, we don't want to see this team lose, right? That's what we do not want to see, especially us that have to – we cover the team 3 times out the week. Julian, he's at almost every Yankee game doing his post-game conference, and he covers the Somerset team. So we want to see this team do well. We understand that. But I think for the next couple of months, the only way changes is going to happen when it comes to the front office or when it comes to the coaching staff is if the Yankees go on a bad trajectory and we start losing games. That's the only way changes are going to happen. And I'm not sure if anyone that's in the chat or anyone that's in the fan base, you guys are 100% on board with just losing for the rest of the season, because I'm not. I'm not sure about you guys. I'm not okay with just losing every game for the rest of the I want this to be competitive. If it happens, it happens. I just don't want us to aim for that goal, if you understand what I'm saying. But TC, I want to throw it over to you. Last words before we get out of here, and let's call it a day.
Yeah, as long as we're striking distance to the wild card, Cashman, they're not going to make any changes. They're like, hey, we're in it, and that's not a good philosophy, because that basically the team is not in it. No, I mean, you might in the standings you might see that, but they're not in it. So to keep us stringing us along with the hope that they're going to make. And even if they do, I mean, honestly, do you think they have a chance? I mean, at all in the postseason? I mean, we can beat some bad pitching, maybe, but in the postseason, it's going to be all aces, and we can't touch that. You're seeing it now. Look at the teams we're facing: Tampa, Houston. We can't touch them. 1-2 runs. That's it. So
we look good against the pitching from Kansas City. But we look bad against Jameson Tyone. That's how it shapes up.
Right. Yeah. So it's disaster.
We appreciate everybody for showing up in the building. Our guy Nate, who is in the building, Acevedos, Jiggerman Porto, Truth Always, Retired War Vet, Lorenzo Cardono, Darrow Leon, who is in the building, our friend Nathan Ramachandra from the NNR Hour. Nathan, what it do? Salute, 3 capital S's. It's been a year. Well, it's about to be almost a year, Julian, that we was at the stadium when that Aaron Hicks situation happened. September is right around the corner. Wow. That's the 1-year anniversary for that. But guys, I love all you guys. Thank you guys for always supporting us. Make sure you guys tune into Julian, like I said, with the Pipe and Dugout Station. Make sure you follow him on Twitter as well. He's always putting out amazing content when it comes to this team. Make sure you guys support all the different content creators that are in the Yankee space. But like always, peace out, deuces. Julian, anytime you want to jump back on with us, you already know, open door policy, and we out of here. Bye.
Quiere más, echa pa' acá, te quiero ver bailar. Se puede ver que no temas nada. Si tú te tiras, yo me tiro. 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 Si tú te tiras, me tiro. Envidian por su estilo. Todo estaba tranquilo, pero llegaste sola al partido. Y baby, no me voy de aquí sin ti. Todo lo que estás sintiendo lo quiero sentir. Tu enojo, tu coraje, como llegaste aquí. Cantando que Lani, baby, dámela a mí. Por la tidras, no ven por la tidras. Hop in the phantom, what's the idras? Si quieres, pues nos vamos donde quieras, bebé. Me gusta como hablas, tiene un lindo accent brasilera. Venina vela, una atrevida, pero sincera. Que no te ponga a hablar porque ella no te deja.